Hi, I'm Candace, and welcome to my corner of the YouTube world. I am not a doctor, where I am not a medical professional, but I love sifting through the science so you don't have to. The topic of transitioning out of a plant-based diet is one that I feel like there is very little support for. Almost every corner of the internet is telling you to go vegan, but what about the people that way of eating simply isn't sustainable for, even if they want it to be? This video will hopefully give you some encouragement and helpful advice if you are wanting to start incorporating animal products into your diet, but feel scared, guilt, shame, and like no one is supporting you. This video isn't for anyone who is currently vegan and wants to continue to stay vegan. I am not on an evangelical mission to convert vegans into being meat eaters. If you don't have any autoimmune issues, weight issues, depression, anxiety, and feel like you're thriving only eating plants, then you should probably just click away from here because the content in this video is going to make you angry. But for those of you who need an advocate and a cheerleader to start the process of incorporating meat into your diet, please keep watching. If you have chosen to start eating meat, this must mean you've come from a place of something not working. Either your body needs healing in a way that plants aren't providing it, or your overwhelming urge to eat meat is starting to win. Either way, your body was designed to have animal products, and this is why you are being drawn to this way of eating. It isn't because you aren't strong enough, or you didn't do vegan or vegetarian right. You did everything you could, and it still wasn't enough. I want you to be really honest and hold on to what that thing was that led you to this moment, because this is what is going to help move you forward when your friends or Facebook groups or TikTok tells you that you need to go back to only eating plants. For me, the shift was realizing that the largest impact I could have in the world was on those around me. And I couldn't show up for anyone if I was sick, sore, and tired. My healing meant more to me than the rhetoric I was taught that I was saving animals by denying myself meat. The first thing I want you to realize is that you don't have to just start eating a steak. Unless, of course, you want to. There have been so many lies we've been told around eating meat and animal fat that you may feel overwhelmed or like you're immediately going to gain weight. And this might keep you from moving forward altogether. So the first thing I recommend is to start small. Eggs and butter are the very first things I have people incorporate into their diet. You can still have your veggies, but we're not using olive oil. We're using good old-fashioned butter to cook these guys in. Now look, it's confusing out there. You go to the grocery store and there are 18 different kinds of butter and 20 different kinds of eggs. I get it. Here are the only hard and fast rules. Your butter is only cream and salt. There are not extra ingredients in there. Please don't start looking at those tubs. Just walk up and grab a block of butter with the least amount of ingredients. For your eggs, most of those labels are just catchy marketing, so honestly, just buy the eggs that you can afford. Eggs in your meals don't always have to look like breakfast either. Some options for dinner are fried rice, shakshuka, which is eggs poached in tomato sauce with veggies, and hard-boiled eggs on a salad. However you eat them, the point is that we are starting to slowly incorporate these animal products in. Another baby step for people tends to be seafood. I like to start with the least fishy items: shrimp, scallops, crab. If these feel too intimidating to cook, you can definitely start by grabbing those water-packed pouches of tuna and salmon and add that to your salads, or make little fish cakes by adding an egg and some seasoning and pop those little balls in your air fryer. White fishes and tuna are going to taste less fishy, but salmon is going to be the most satisfying because the fat content is higher. So I would just play around to see how you feel about that. At this point, if you're eating seafood, eggs, and butter, you have a whole new world of things that you can make. Most people at this point would start to add cheese in, but that's totally your call on if you tolerate that or not. I use dairy as a condiment and not a main dish, but most people don't tolerate it well. So just be aware if you're eating meat and cheese and you don't feel good, it's going to be the cheese, not the meat, that's making you feel bad. So then you come to the moment where you might feel comfortable incorporating other meat options into your diet. Let's start with things that don't objectively look like animal parts. Ground chicken, ground beef, ground pork. This is a great and cost-effective place to land. You can, again, add this to your veggie dishes with your butter and possibly your cheese, and one-pan meals are super easy and filling. Again, at this point, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with grocery store. If it's fresh ground meat, you should buy it and move on. Frozen ground meat has the chances of a lot of added stuff in it, and it also doesn't taste as good, so I would just avoid it unless it's just not fitting into your schedule to have fresh meat and you find it massively more convenient. If you've made it here, past the eggs, the butter, the ground meat, the seafood, then you're on your way to feeling comfortable enough to maybe start introducing meat with bones, steaks, wings. This place isn't something that you have to rush to. It's also very challenging to start cooking meat when you haven't had it for so long. So master one or two cuts before moving on. You don't want to spend $60 on a Wagyu steak only to overcook it. There are lots and lots of great videos out there that will show you how to cook just about every type of meat imaginable. And I prefer different cooking methods for different kinds, but the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is get an air fryer. You can cook everything in there, from burgers to steaks to wings and even eggs if you'd like. This makes cooking simple and almost foolproof until you're feeling a little more adventurous. Let's chat about some troubleshooting things. Some of you may be able to jump right into eating meat with no problem, but for a lot of people, transitioning is actually difficult mentally and physically. Your brain is really tied to your eating habits, so if you feel guilty, your body is going to want you to go back to eating carrots. That's why I say to start incorporating things slowly. A practice that I put into place when I started eating more meat was before each meal, I offered a little moment of gratitude for the animal before me. I acknowledged that this life was sacred and it's fueling me to be an amazing spiritual being as well. You may also find you have trouble digesting animal fats or meats because you simply haven't had to create those enzymes in a long time. During this process, it may be helpful to supplement with betaine, HCl, or ox bile during your meals. It's also good practice not to down large cups of water while you're eating because that can actually interfere with your stomach acid production. A question I get asked often is, do I have to buy grass-fed meat? And that is something that I think is personal on a lot of levels, so I'm going to try to be as diplomatic about it as possible. The most important thing when you're starting out is making animal products accessible and easy to incorporate into your diet. This is ultimately going to help you thrive. Grass-fed and finished beef is unfortunately at a price point that most people cannot afford, and some of them don't like the taste, so in turn won't eat the meat. If you want to make sure the animal you are consuming is raised with care and love, then it will be important for you to seek out local farms. But this task alone can become a barrier to your optimal health. If you have the financial means and time to connect with regenerative farms, then you will be supporting a cause that is very similar to veganism, and that animal welfare, soil health, and health of the people on this planet are number one. There are actually so many things that we fight for that are the exact same on both sides of this diet coin. The biggest difference is that those farmers are aware of the deaths that are required for humans to thrive. And a lot of vegans believe that because they eat vegetables, nothing had to die, which simply isn't true. It's important to be connected to your food and know what it took to get it on your plate. But you shouldn't compromise your health by not eating meat just because it didn't come from a local farm. Where you are at is perfectly fine. And whether that means you are getting quarter pounders from McDonald's, preferably without the bread, or grass-fed steak, what matters most is that you need to know you're giving your body the building blocks it needs to turn your brain back on, and you will start to thrive. My transition out of veganism was heartbreaking for me, but I feel so much more connected to the food on my plate and to my body, and I am so thankful that I heard other people's stories of breaking the vegan cycle, because now I know what it means to really feel alive. I hope this was helpful and encouraging. Please comment below if you need any support. I would love to know your thoughts on this video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel. My mission is to help you thrive in a world that is set up to sell you the idea of health by people who still feel unhealthy. You are in control of your health. It just might take changing everything you thought you knew to get to where you want to be.